Hello students, welcome to the biology class of 7. In the previous two videos, we discussed about the autotrophic mode of nutrition in plants. In today's class, we are going to discuss other modes of nutrition in plants. Children, please be attentive when the class is going on. Non-green plants, that is the plants which do not contain chlorophyll, cannot synthesize their food. Obviously, chlorophyll only helps in the synthesis of food, isn't it? So such plants, that is these non-green plants, are called heterotrophs and they depend for food on other organisms. These heterotrophic plants can be divided into two main groups, that is parasites and saprophytes. Let us discuss each group in detail. Parasites. A plant which lives on or inside other organisms and derive the food from it is called a parasites. These non-green plants which obtain their food from the living bodies of other plants are called plant parasites. And the living organisms from whose body food is obtained is called host of the parasite. Children, I repeat this line again. The living organisms from whose body food is obtained is called host of the parasite. Okay, children? A parasitic plant produces certain special types of roots called sucking roots, which penetrate into the host plant. The parasite sucks the food material from the host through these special roots. An example of parasite plant is Cuscuta. It is also called Amar Bel in Hindi. Now look into the figure 9. Here this figure shows a parasitic plant, that is Cuscuta, climbing on the stem of its host plant or host tree. Now children, please note the color of the Cuscuta. Cuscuta plant is yellow in color. That means they do not contain chlorophyll, and that is why they cannot synthesize food. Okay. So Cuscuta plants take ready-made food from the tree on which it climbs. Since Cuscuta plants derives the host tree of valuable nutrients, it is called a parasite. Okay? And we also find that since Cuscuta plant depends on other plants for obtaining food, therefore Cuscuta plant has heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Okay, children? Yes. Now, come to the next. Saprophytes. Now, children. Hope you are understanding, children. Yes. Okay. Next is the saprophytes. Those non-green plants which obtain their food or nutrition from dead and decaying organic matter are called saprophytes. Now come to the next page 8. Children, do you know what is the meaning of dead and decaying organic matter? Dead and decaying organic matter means dead and decaying plants and animal remains. The fungi such as mushroom, bread mold and yeast are saprophytes, that is, they obtain food from dead and decaying plants and animal remains. Certain bacteria are also saprophytes. They are called saprophytic bacteria. During rainy season, children, you must have observed fluffy umbrella-like plants growing on rotting wood. Look into the figure 10. This picture is this type of scene is very common during rainy season. These fluffy umbrella-like plants are called mushroom, and mushroom is an example of fungus. Okay, and they are, look into the figure, they are obtaining food from the rotten piece of wood. Okay. Now the question is, how do the non-green saprophytic plants obtain their food from dead and decaying organic matter? Let me tell you how it is possible. Actually, children, the saprophytic plants secrete digestive juices on the dead and decaying organic matter and convert it into a solution. They absorb the nutrients from this solution. Okay. This mode of nutrition, in which plants take in nutrition from dead and decaying organic matter, is called saprophytic nutrients. And the plants which use saprophytic mode of nutrition are saprotrophs. Children, now you may be in the position to tell me the difference between parasites and saprophytes. Okay, you cannot tell because you are on the side of the video. So, parasites, they obtain food from living organisms, and saprophytes, they obtain food from non-living organisms. Okay, yes. Now children, let me tell you that besides these parasites and saprophytes, there are some other types of plants which have very peculiar mode of nutrition. These are insectivorous plants and symbiotic plants. We will discuss this insectivorous plant and symbiotic plants in the next page. Come to the next page, 9. Insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants. There are some green plants which obtain their food partly from the soil and atmosphere and partly from small insects. Therefore, those green plants which obtain their food partly from insects are called insectivorous plants. Now children, the question may be coming in your mind that these green plants, they are capable of producing food. And what is the necessity of killing insects for food? Let me tell you the reasons. The insectivorous plants grow only in those soils which do not contain sufficient nitrogen mineral. Okay children, they grow in such type of soil which is lacking nitrogen mineral. Therefore, they do not get the nitrogen nutrient from the soil in which they grow. So, insectivorous plants therefore feed on insects to obtain their nitrogen compounds needed for their growth. Understand? That is why these insectivorous plants are also called partial heterotrophs. Not complete heterotrophs, but partial heterotrophs. Let us discuss how the pitcher plant obtain food from insects. In the pitcher plant, the lamina of the blade is modified into a hollow tube called pitcher. The leaf apex forms a lid which can open or close the mouth of the pitcher. Inside the pitcher, there are hairs which are directed downwards. When an insect falls in the pitcher, the lid automatically closes. The trapped insect gets entangled in the hair of the pitcher and hence cannot come out. After some time, the insect dies in the pitcher. Okay. Then what happens after that? The walls of the pitcher secrete digestive juices which digest the proteins present in the body of the insect to form simple nitrogen compounds like amino acids. These simple nitrogen compounds are absorbed by the walls of the pitcher and used by the whole pitcher plant for making proteins. Okay children? Now let us learn about the symbiotic plants. But before we learn about symbiotic plants, let me tell you the meaning of symbiosis. Symbiosis is a biological term which means a mutually beneficial relationship between two different people or species of plants. Okay? Okay. Now, symbiotic plants, the living together of two different species of plants as if they are parts of the same plant and help each other in obtaining food is called symbiosis, and such plants are known as symbiotic plants. Okay. And the very good example of symbiotic plants are lichens. In lichens, the green color plant called alga and non-green plant fungus live together. The fungus holds the alga cells in its mat of web-like hyphae. The fungus plant absorbs the water and mineral salts from the surroundings and supplies them to alga. Okay, and the alga plant, what does it do? It, being green in color, prepares the food by photosynthesis and shares it with fungus. Thus, both alga and fungus gain mutually from one another by living together. This is an example of symbiosis. Let me give you another example of symbiotic relationship. Rhizobium bacteria and leguminous plants. How they help each other. Rhizobium bacteria cannot make their own food. They live in the root nodules of leguminous plants such as gram, peas, beans and pulses. Rhizobium bacteria convert nitrogen gas of air into water-soluble nitrogen compounds called nitrates and give them to leguminous plants for their growth. In this way, the bacteria helps the leguminous plants. Now, how the bacteria is being benefited from the leguminous plant? Let me tell you. In return, what does the leguminous plants do? They give food and shelter to rhizobium bacteria. Thus, rhizobium bacteria and leguminous plants have a symbiotic relationship. Okay, children? So, in this way, we have completed the next most important topic, that is other modes of nutrition in plants. Dear students, before we conclude the topic, let me tell you one thing. While I was describing the difference between the saprophytes and parasites, I said that parasites obtain food from living organisms and saprophytes obtain food from non-living organisms. Students, here non-living organisms I meant dead plants and animal remains. Understand, children? Okay. So, now you will go through the chapter thoroughly and also read the relevant notes very well. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you, children.